Better than
children who on the spectrum, on the autism spectrum,
government funded
he's very autistic on the autism spectrum.
And upset. One of Sulaki's little things with the teachers was she had this little plastic spider, and she just pulled it out of a bag and threw it amongst the teachers. And of course all the teachers stood up and screamed, and she said that was her lesson. That's how these children feel in different situations. So that was her thing. It was terrific.
A normal child would probably have different ways of feeling security. The children with autism, as far as the experience that I have with my own son, tend to limit that to visual things or things that they have around them. Pretty much like, I guess, a typical child might have a security blanket, etc. The children with autism get an obsession.
I have to drive the same streets because he thinks if we're going on the wrong street, we're not going there, or if I drive one particular way, I'm going to the bank.
So if you try and say to him, we're going to the shops, and he wants to watch TV, it's difficult for us to get him to understand that we're going to the shops and later on we're going to watch TV, because he can't understand that that's important to you. You're going to the shops, he just wants the TV.
Luke's with me everywhere, and sometimes we're only wherever we go for 10-15 minutes and we're out of there before he has a meltdown and can't cope. And then his older brother, he is at that age where they start to get a bit embarrassed and that sort of thing. No, there's not much leisure time at all.
Unbroken nights are a non-event, usually. He does tend to wake up during the night very early. So we basically need to adjust our days according to his level of activity, which is basically non-stop.
He started with an autism school when he was 6, and they've done absolute wonders for him. The only problem being it's an expensive school, and being a single mum, I can't afford the fees. He was then told when he was about 8, they said that they couldn't do anything more for him and moved him over to mainstream in a special ed class there, where he just didn't cope at all in the mainstream setting. So I've been homeschooling him now for about 18 months because there's just nowhere else for him to go, basically.
Daniel used to hate going to that school because there was 27 children in the classroom, and it was a nightmare. The minute I took out the uniform to get him to put it on in the morning, he screams all the time. So therefore that year he must have attended school perhaps 2 mornings a week, if that.
The teachers' aides that the department funded, the funding stopped, and they were actually going to leave him without a teacher's aide in a mainstream class in term 4 in kindergarten. And I said, well, what are you going to do with him then? So then they said, we're going to try and get him into this other school in an IO class, and if we can't, we may have to leave him here till next year. And I said, well, I'd rather pull him out of school. If you're going to have him in a mainstream class with the 26 other children and the teacher with no special ed training, I'd rather have him at home. He's not going to learn anything. What's the point of sending him to school? He has just been accepted into a special needs school, which is all disabilities, not just autism. But what he really needs is an autism-specific school that's funded through the government, because they're just so high.
And we saw a film there that was called The Child Who Could Not Play, narrated by David Suzuki. This film specifically indicated the minimum of 40 hours is what's going to make a difference. So we thought, surely if we come down to Sydney, there's going to be more availability, something. We came down and we got 1.5 hours, a fortnight.
Already my oldest child has missed out on so many therapies because he's been on the back of a queue and now he's too old to actually gain access to them.
again, at one of the the school meetings that we had a politician there who more or less indicated, oh, we're thinking of opening all these autism unit classes everywhere, and, you know, one step at a time, funds don't allow us, and blah, blah, blah. And when we asked them, where do these classes feed into as far as the high school is concerned, his attitude was, well, we've got one school and there really isn't much call for one. You know? And our argument then was there isn't much call because there's nothing there. We're all yelling and nothing's happening.
I went to visit one minister's advisor, and there was another staff member there who spent the better part of an hour telling me that I should have more respect and more faith in the system, and that I should stop worrying for my children, let the system take care of them, because otherwise I'll be doing myself harm. In other words, I'll be getting sick with worry, which, as a parent, you can't do that. He also said to me, where do you see your child when he's 18? And I said, well, he can have college education, university education, he can be up working, whatever he chooses to do. Because in my opinion, my children and other children like them have the potential to go on to go to university, to go on to go to work, to do positive things with their lives. He stopped me short and he said, no, you're wrong for thinking that way. Your child will learn until he reaches the age of 12, and then his learning will plateau. Your child will not amount to that. You should stop thinking that way. And I died, because no two autistic children are alike. Each one is different. Each one has different traits. With my two children, they both have different traits and different characteristics, and yet they are both on the spectrum. So the nerve of this person telling me that I had no right to hold hope for a better future for my child. Children who are affected mildly and moderately have the potential to integrate into society if the government helps with early intervention. We need that help now. We can't wait another 5 or 10 years. These children have been moulded for a life on welfare. We, as an ageing society, need more taxpayers. We're not going to be getting taxpayers if we ignore these children. We're going to be getting more children on welfare.
He's 12 years old now. If we can increase his IQ enough and also pull in the social stuff, and he'll grow up to be an independent adult. And this is what we want, rather than to be a burden on society.
My biggest fear is, I guess, that as he gets older, he'll get pushed more and more aside, and eventually neither my husband nor I are going to be around. I'm in my late 40s. I've got chronic health issues, and when he was about 5, I just longed to see him turn 10. Now my aim is 15, you know. And my husband's 5 years older than I am. He's in his 50s now, so he's our only child. We don't have much as far as friends or relatives are concerned, and the biggest fear is that when we're gone, he's just going to end up who knows where. Whereas if he's helped along now, he has a lot of potentials. There's a lot of things that if we know of, if we have the systems to help us getting to tap on these talents and these things, I'm sure that they can do lots of things.
Government-funded specific autism schools and therapy as well, without the huge waiting lists. There are the free government-funded ones, but the waiting lists are just ridiculous. They need schooling all the way through in a specific school, just focusing on autism.
They can be intelligent, they can be creative, they can be artistic, they can be musical. Daniel particularly loves his music, and when he's being told to do something, he'll put it to song. He'll make a musical of it. You give him a song and he'll sing the melody and make up his own words along to it. Very, very creative that way.
Our kids are capable of living independent lives and getting jobs. So, but there's just the services aren't there to help them, sort of thing. And the services are there if you have money. If you have no money, then it's the kids that miss out.